Hello all, welcome to Astro's Biology. This video lecture is based on the important ecological rules. So I have tried to cover the most important rules which were asked in the previous year examination of CSI and NET and GATE examination. So let's begin. So I know it becomes really difficult when you have to summarize all the different rules, and there are n number of rules in ecology, I know that. So I'll try to make this process easier and simpler for you. So let's begin. So the first rule is Bergmann's rule. It is one of the important rules of the ecology, and there are many extensions to this rule, which we'll be discussing in the further slides. So the basic principle of this rule is large body has smaller surface area and larger volume. Therefore, overall, large body has smaller surface area to volume ratio. This rule states that individual of species in cooler climate tend to be larger in size than those in warmer climate because bodies with larger volume has smaller surface area by volume ratio, as I told you before. Hence, larger bodies retain more heat efficiently in cooler climates, obviously. So the basic principle is when the body is of large size, it has smaller surface area by volume ratio. Okay, so you can see in these images given below, these are the images of the red bulls from northern and southern populations respectively. So you can see that in the cooler climate, the red bull size is larger as compared to the wolf population from the southern population. Okay, I have tried to include some key points after every rule. You just have to remember this key point. Once you recall this key point, you will be able to recall this whole rule. So the key point from this rule is cooler climate have larger sized individual, that is low surface area to volume ratio. Second rule is Allen's rule. It is one of the extensions of the Bergmann's rule. So the endothermic animals. What are the endothermic animals? Endothermic animals are those which are able to maintain their body temperature irrespective of their surrounding. So the endothermic animals from colder climate tend to have shorter extremities or appendages like ears and tails than those closely related species from warmer climate. So why is this case? So, shorter extremities dissipate less heat than larger one. So, these images you can see, these are the images of the hair from the warmer and colder climates respectively. So, the hairs from the warmer climate are having large size ears. You can see it here. And the hairs from the colder climate are having small sized ears. So, this is the alien rule. And the key point you have to remember is that in this colder climate, you have shorter extremities. So the third rule is Hesse's rule. It talks about the heart weight. So you can remember this by HH. Hesse talks about heart weight. Heart weight. Okay. So it is also one of the extensions of the Bergmann's rule. It states that species from colder climate have a larger heart in relation to its body weight than the closely related species from warmer climate. Okay, so you can see in this image at the low temperatures, the heart is larger in relation to its body weight. Okay, than the closely related species from the warmer climates. So, for example, lung and heart weights of rodents showed 130 to 150% increase with a 3 degrees Celsius temperature reduction. So, the key point you have to remember here is the colder climate shows large heart. The colder climate shows the organisms with the large heart in relation to their body weights. Gloger's rule. The fourth rule is the Gloger's rule. The endothermic animals are more heavily pigmented in humid and warm climates like near equator as compared to the colder and dry ones. So here you have to remember this rule talks about endothermic animal like the previous rules. The endothermic animals are more heavily pigmented in humid and warm climates like the ones living near equator as compared to the colder and dry ones. So the colder and dry ones are the less pigmented ones, while the heavy pigmented one are found in the warmer climates. So there are many explanations given by this rule. So one of the explanation is in the case of bird, by increasing the pigmentation, it increases the resistance against hair degrading bacteria such as Bacillus licheniformis. Okay. So in humid climates, feather have high bacterial load as humidity favors microbial growth, everyone knows. Dark hair or feathers are more difficult to break down, and this is the reason in warmer or humid climates the feathers are heavily pigmented, while the need to better protect against more intense solar UV radiation at lower altitudes also explains the rule. So here the key point is at the colder climate you can find fair and less pigmented organisms. So the fifth rule is Wilson's rule, and it says that the animals at the Arctic regions have thick layer of subcutaneous fats as compared to the lean skin of animals at the tropics. And the animals have longer hair in colder region as compared to the hotter climate. You can see this in these images. So at low temperature, you can see this animal with the high level of subcutaneous fats and more number of hair. Okay. So the key point what you have to remember is at colder climates you get animals with high subcutaneous fats and long hairs. So the sixth rule is Allen's rule. It is the rule for the ectotherms. Previous rules which we have discussed were related to the endothermic animals. So this rule says that if the temperature is increased by 10 degrees Celsius for ectotherms, the rate of respiration doubles. It also says that the sex ratio can be changed in ectotherms due to the temperature. So you just have to remember with the temperature increase by 10 degrees Celsius, the respiration doubles. Okay, so the seventh rule is Jordan's rule. It describes an inverse relationship between water temperature and quantitative features of the fish, such as number of fins or scale. For example, increase in the number of fin rays, vertebrae, or scales is seen with the decreasing temperature. So, as the temperature decreases, the number of fin rays and scales increases in the fishes. So you just have to remember with the decrease in temperature, you can see increase in the number of fin rays, vertebrae and scales in fishes. Gordu's rule. There is not much more known facts about this rule. So you just have to remember that temperature influences the morphology of an animal. That's it. So the key point in this rule is temperature affects morphology. Okay. Rensch rule. Birds at colder regions have narrow and acuminate wings, that is pointed wings, as compared to the birds with broader wings at warmer regions. So at low temperatures, you can find birds with the narrow and pointed wings. So the key point over here is colder climate have narrow and pointed wings. The 10th rule is Thorson's rule. So this rule is somewhat unique, which is what I feel. And here you have to remember the number of eggs in a clutch led by benthic, that is bottom dwelling marine invertebrates at lower lower altitude are more plankton feeding. Okay, as compared to the ones at high altitude which produce yolk feeding eggs and large size offsprings. So you just have to remember the eggs which are laid at low altitudes here develops to pelagic plankton feeding and widely dispersed larvae. and these eggs are more in number, where the eggs which are laid at the higher altitudes are larger in size, fewer in number, and these develop into the yolk feeders, and the lower altitude ones develops into the plankton feeders. Okay, so key point over here is at low altitudes, the number of eggs laid are more in number, and these develop into small plankton feeding larvae. This is one of the most important law of ecology, Shelford's law of tolerance. The environmental gradient having upper and lower threshold values beyond which the organism die. So there is one gradient, there is optimal growth within this gradient, but beyond this, there is no growth of any organism. So these are nothing but the upper and lower limits of tolerances. So there are few terminologies like steno. Steno means narrow range and uri means wide range. For example, stenothermal are those who can tolerate only narrow range of temperatures, while eurythermals are the ones tolerating wide range of temperatures. Okay, so you can see it over here when the environmental gradients are plotted against organisms' performances. You can see the gradient, and here there is maximum fitness and growth. Here only few organisms can grow, while these are the zones of intolerances. Okay, and here there is optimal tolerance range. Here the fitness and growth is maximum. Okay, so here is one terminology related to this law, the ecological amplitude. This is nothing but the tolerable range of environmental factors of a particular species. So the key point you have to remember is there is maximum fitness and growth in the optimal tolerance range. Okay, beyond which the organism is not able to survive. Okay, so other principles and hypotheses from ecology will be covered in the upcoming videos. So for the more such videos, please subscribe my channel. Please like, comment and share with your friends. Thank you.